Good afternoon, everyone, and we thank you for standing by and joining us in today's session on the ReadyTalk web seminar series. For those of you that have been with us before on a series, welcome back, and for those this is the first time, we welcome you and we hope that you join us again for some more in the future. Basically, we've put together this webinar series at ReadyTalk with the purpose of building community where you can interact with a number of experts that we bring on, on a variety of topics to enhance not only your organization's success, but hopefully your own professional development as well. Today's seminar is entitled Disaster Preparedness, Does Your Organization Have a Plan? And is being presented by Jennifer Schmidt of Mercy Corps and Karen Wilcox of the National Emergency Response and Rescue Training Center, which is a division of the Texas Engineering Extension Service. Just as some housekeeping tips before we do get started, during today's presentation, all of the participants are going to be in a listen-only mode. However, if you have questions or comments to contribute throughout the presentation, go ahead and type them into the chat feature that's located at the lower left-hand portion of your screen. We'll queue those up. We have an introduction section basically of a case study, so to speak, with Jennifer at Mercy Corps, telling what they do and how their organization plans and prepares around disasters. And then we'll jump into a separate portion of the presentation with Karen with some real-life action items that you can put into place at your organization to create that actual plan. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about ReadyTalk in general after today's event, go ahead and just stay on the line for a minute or so, and I can pass along some additional information. As a reminder, today's event is being recorded, so you will all receive that in a post-event email. And we're going to jump right in this afternoon, so I'll let each of the speakers give a bit of their background information, and on that note, I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter, Jennifer from Mercy Corps, so go ahead and take it away.
All right, great. Well, thanks, Simone, and thanks so much to all of our friends at ReadyTalk for hosting the call today and for agreeing to match contributions to Mercy Corps' Haiti relief efforts. Even though Haiti is no longer front-page news, the needs are real and they continue, and support at this stage is absolutely vital. So just thank you so much. And as Simone said, my name is Jennifer Schmidt. I'm a Senior Development Officer at Mercy Corps. I'm joining you from our global headquarters, which is located in Portland, Oregon. And I wanted to start with just a very brief overview of Mercy Corps. So we're a 30-year-old international humanitarian relief and development organization. We work in more than 40 countries around the world, and some of the things that I think really set us apart are our willingness to go where we're needed most, to some of the toughest places imaginable, from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, and respond to crisis situations where there's not only a dire humanitarian need, but where we believe there's also an opportunity to help people build back better. And so our approach really focuses on what we call community-led change, which means that 95% of our staff are native to the country in which they work, and that we really work to empower local people to be the lead authors of their own change. And another thing that makes us different and is relevant to the call today is our approach to emergencies. We respond not only quickly, rapidly, and effectively in the short term, but then we really work to move from providing immediate aid to helping people lead their own recovery. So the focus of my brief remarks will be to talk a little bit about Mercy Corps and our work in Haiti, to give an overview of our Global Emergency Operations, or GEO, team, to talk a little bit about how we communicate with stakeholders during times of disasters, and also how we prepare and train for disasters. And finally, a few lessons learned and affirmed from our experience in Haiti. So you all have seen the news. You probably know a lot of this information, but the situation in Haiti was really unique in a really sort of epic and tragic way. It started out already, it was the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere, but then on January 12th, with a 7.0 earthquake hitting not only the country but the capital city of Port-au-Prince, it was tragedy of an epic scale. About 230,000 or more are estimated to be dead, and 1.5 million homeless. Now, Mercy Corps has responded to emergency situations in the past. We were there in response to the tsunami, Hurricane Katrina, the earthquake 2 years ago in Sichuan, China, the cyclone in Myanmar 2 years ago. But one after the other of our emergency responders who went to Haiti said, they've just never seen anything like what they saw in Port-au-Prince. So to talk a little bit about how we're structured to respond to emergencies. Like I said, we have a global emergency operations unit, and that is comprised of a 8-person emergency response team. That's a standing team. They can be deployed with 72 hours notice and can be out in the field for 90 days. In addition, we have a larger team that provides sort of surge capacity during times of emergencies. That's our global response team. It's 40 staff, 40 Mercy Corps staff around the world who have regular day jobs, whether it's helping people with agricultural development or clean water, but they're also trained in emergency response, and they can be deployed as well on a temporary basis. These two teams are supported by our technical and logistics unit. And of course, none of this is possible without individual donors like the people on this call who make all of this work possible. So when we heard about the earthquake in Haiti, we made the decision within about 40 minutes to dispatch a team to Haiti. And despite huge logistical challenges, they did arrive in Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic, and were on the ground at Port-au-Prince within just a couple of days. So, we started with our global emergency operations staff. Those are really our veteran emergency responders. We think of them as the point of the spear when we respond to emergencies, and they really go out there to start with those immediate needs and also to figure out, do an assessment and figure out what sort of additional assistance and resources do we need to effectively respond to this emergency. And we find that in an emergency, there's really 3 phases. We start with phase 1, and that's really basic needs. Phase 2 is early recovery, and then finally, phase 3 is reconstruction and development, and really that rebuilding process. Phase 1, meeting the basic needs, has 5 components, and it's pretty much the same 5 basic components in every emergency, and that's first of all providing water, food, immediate health care, shelter, and sanitation. Those 5 things, and just about always those 5 things in every emergency we've responded to. And that's where Mercy Corps' work really began. We started by teaming up with a local organization called Partners in Health to distribute emergency food rations, and then later 15 tons of food to Port-au-Prince General Hospital, the largest hospital in Port-au-Prince. We provided enough food for hundreds of patients, their families, and hospital staff. So that was a great way for us to get to work quickly and start making a difference for people on the ground. Another thing that we did right from the start was we sent this man in the picture, Mugur Dumitrash. He is our water and sanitation expert, and we sent him out to many of the local communities to assess and to repair water sources. We also provided water filtration and purification systems when those water sources were not safe. So those were some of our sort of immediate response phase 1 activities. Now we're sort of moving into that phase 2, early recovery, and we're transitioning really to 3 primary programs as part of that early recovery work. The first has to do with providing clean water and sanitation. So you have a situation in Haiti where more than 1 million people are homeless. You have thousands of people living in camps, and sanitation and access to clean water is a huge problem. I mean, you really have the potential for a second disaster of disease and contamination. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. These photos I'm showing are from Solon Menos Camp, where Mercy Corps is implementing clean water and sanitation projects. 2 of our activities will be to build community latrines that will eventually serve about 42,000 people, and also to create drainage channels, since this site is particularly susceptible to flooding after heavy rains. And as many of you know or have heard about in the news, the rainy season in Haiti is just around the corner, and we need to help these camps and these people prepare for that situation. The next program we have is what we call Cash for Work. We've employed about 3,000 people so far and hope to employ a few thousand more in cleaning up the rubble and repairing basic infrastructure. So these are local people, and this is a chance for them to actually earn a daily wage repairing their own community. It's a way to sort of receive aid and support in really a dignified manner. And these workers can then use that daily wage to provide for their families and inject that cash back into local marketplaces and help get the economy going again. So this is really about local people being a part of their own recovery, and this is how we hope that long-term change will happen. Another program that we're focusing on is providing healing support for children through what we call our Comfort for Kids program. So this is a program that was developed by Mercy Corps and used in other post-earthquake and post-disaster situations from 9/11 to after earthquakes in Peru and in Sichuan, China. There's two components. First, we've distributed about 4,000 comfort kits. So these consist of a blanket, a toothbrush, toothpaste, a stuffed animal, things that help kids feel safe and also provide basic hygiene needs. And then we also train parents, teachers, caregivers, doctors, and other staff to understand, what are some of the normal reactions that children have to crisis, and how can they support children and answer their questions with age-appropriate honesty. So it's really through this program that we're hoping to help heal some of the emotional scars that these kids have experienced, and also in the meantime to provide safe places for them to play and just have a chance to be kids again. So that's a little bit about the work that we're doing. The second thing I wanted to talk about was, how do we communicate about the work that Mercy Corps does and our response with our stakeholders, not only internally but externally. So what we find, and I know Karen will talk about this as well, is that in an emergency situation, your most precious commodity is time. And that's not only true on the ground, but also in your communications with your stakeholders. So what we found at Mercy Corps is, when there's a disaster, it's, the story's front page news. Everybody's talking about it, and everybody wants to help. But when the cameras have gone, will people still care? Will they still want to support the work that really needs to happen? So we knew that if we were going to really get in there and really make a difference in Haiti, we needed to get out there to communicate with our stakeholders and with the public, and also to try and raise as much money and as many resources as possible, as quickly as possible, so we could mount our best response. So what we do is we work in advance to have a communications plan in place. It's a detailed plan. It talks about what we do, day one of an emergency response, day 2, day 3, day 4, and ongoing. It lives on our intranet where anyone can access it and update it. Some of those first things that we do to communicate are sort of what you would expect, emailing our stakeholders, using social media, the Facebook and Twitter, to get the word out through those channels. We also have lists of our closest partners ready to call to let them know that we're responding and talk about how they can get involved and be a part of our efforts. We also work to prepare a mailed piece to our supporters that they'll get, hopefully as soon as possible, while the disaster is still sort of front page news, and people still have that sort of urgent need to reach out and help their fellow man. Another thing we did this emergency that was sort of unique for us on the communications front is we actually partnered with ReadyTalk to host a terrific conference call and webinar, sort of like we're doing today, where our supporters could call in and hear directly from one of our staff in Port-au-Prince and have a chance to sort of hear from her, what was she seeing, what was Mercy Corps doing, and have a chance to ask her some questions directly. And so we just got great feedback from our supporters and felt like that was something that was really sort of different and great for us. So, how does Mercy Corps prepare in peacetime to respond at a moment's notice? Well, I mentioned our 8-member Global Emergency Operations Team. That's our 8-member standing team. And we really work to hire veteran, seasoned emergency responders that don't sort of need constant ongoing training. They've been through emergencies before, and they're ready to go at a moment's notice. So where the training really happens is with that larger group of 40 of our field staff who sort of sign up on a voluntary basis to be deployed during an emergency with 72 hours notice. And the way that we train them is we have a really intense 5-day training. We start with an overview of humanitarian principles and standards. We do some practical training on security, communications, things like how to distribute food items and emergency supplies in a peaceful and orderly manner during an emergency. And we end the training with a full-day, full-on simulation of an emergency where our staff are broken up into small teams and they have to actually figure out what's going on, how do we respond, what are the needs of this community, and at the end of the day present sort of their plan for moving forward. So it's a very intense training, and it's been really successful. Now, through the Haiti response, I'd say we have a number of lessons learned and also sort of things we knew that we've affirmed that are just critical for Mercy Corps and probably for other organizations during an emergency. And the first thing is to have a plan. As I mentioned, your most precious commodity in a crisis is time. I think this is something that we all know, and having a plan allows you to react immediately, whether it's deploying resources or communicating with your stakeholders. You also want to have the right people in place. That's why we have our standing global emergency operations team, as well as this sort of 40-member team around the world that can be deployed at a moment's notice. We have people that are ready to go. We also have people that sort of cover all the different areas of what we might need during an emergency. So not only people that can sort of respond quickly in our veterans, but people that are experts in water and sanitation or health or working with children. People that have different skills and resources that we can draw from. We also try to have dedicated support people outside of the emergency situation. I mean, when our teams are on the ground, they're working 18 to 22 hours per day. So to have someone here at headquarters they can call at any hour of the day for information or to be connected to another organization in Haiti was really critical. So number one, have a plan. Number two, have the right people in place. Number three, have the right tools. Communication systems for us are absolutely key during an emergency. What we do when there's an emergency is we sort of put together a response team. So during Haiti, we had our Haiti response team. We know who our decision makers are and that make decisions about, okay, how are we going to deploy, who's going to Haiti, and we can convene that group at a moment's notice. We also start up an internal email list of everybody involved with the response so that we can be communicating on a regular basis. We have an area on our organization's intranet where we can post the latest reports and updates from Haiti. We have daily conference calls, sometimes more than daily conference calls with our staff in headquarters and on the ground in Haiti, with ReadyTalk, of course. And then we have constant companion documents. These are documents that list all the contact options for everyone on the ground so that we know how to get a hold of our people, and our people know how to get hold of the folks they need at headquarters and elsewhere for support. Another lesson learned is have a backup plan, for everything, right? But for us, having a backup plan for communications and for IT infrastructure was really key. We sent our team to Haiti with laptops, cell phones, satellite phones, and the only thing that worked was their BlackBerries. So thank goodness a number of team members did have BlackBerries and were able to use them to communicate. But you always need to have a backup. Another thing that we've sort of knew and have sort of been reaffirmed with Haiti is the need to pre-position supplies. Now, I grew up in California, and this idea of having supplies at the ready for a time of emergency was sort of was second nature. I think Mom always kept a bunch of gallons of water and canned food in the garage, and so we always had those supplies ready. And if you think about responding to a global emergency, the ideas of having emergency supplies like commodity food products, hygiene supplies, and shelter materials in warehouses sort of ready to be deployed is absolutely key and was absolutely key in Haiti as well. The final sort of lesson learned in a firm is also to communicate with your stakeholders constantly. We sent out our initial email blast and kept our supporters updated pretty regularly throughout our response. We got great feedback. Just folks really appreciated knowing what was happening, what Mercy Corps was doing, how their contributions were being used and being put to work to help the people of Haiti. So that sort of regular communication is just really important, and also just reaching out personally, calling our key supporters or our key clients and donors, let them know what we're doing. Talk about how we can work together and how we can really put together our best effort to help the people of Haiti was really key. So those are just my opening remarks. I'd love to take some questions later after Karen's presentation, and I just want to thank Simone and ReadyTalk again for hosting us, and thanks to all of you who have been supporting this work in Haiti.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for passing along the information of what you guys are doing hands-on there. And again, we want to give our audience up front that kind of case study scenario of what organizations are doing to have a disaster preparedness plan in place, and obviously Mercy Corps does that on a daily basis in these unexpected events that happen. On that note, we're going to pass it over to Karen, who's with us again from the National Emergency Response and Rescue Training Center out of the Texas Engineering Extension. Say that 5 times fast. So again, Karen's here to give us some of those hands-on tips of what do you need to have in place for your particular organization, who should be involved, what items should be on this checklist of a disaster preparedness plan. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to you, Karen, and you can take away your piece. And again, to the audience, if you guys have questions that pop up in your mind as Karen is presenting, feel free to pass those along in the chat feature, and we'll be sure to address those at the end, either for Karen or Jennifer, again, at Mercy Corps. So go ahead, Karen.
Thank you. You've been listening to Jennifer, and she's been talking about operational skills, the boots on the ground issues. And then she kind of followed up with, how they got there. And what I'm going to be talking about is preparing a plan and the importance of that. My name is Karen Wilcox, and I am a training manager with the National Emergency Response and Rescue Training Center. This is one of 5 divisions that is under the Texas Engineering Extension Service, which is a state agency which is on the Texas A&M University campus, and I am located in College Station. In 1998, following the domestic terrorist attacks, the National Emergency Response and Rescue Training Center was established and is now recognized as a leader in the delivery of Homeland Security training, exercise, and technical assistance. NERC provides hands-on, realistic experiences and excellent instructors who mentor and guide participants in a powerful exercise simulation that replicates real live incidences. And in short, we write exercises, we assist communities and states and regions with their plans, anything to assist them in preparation for any kind of an incident or event, whether it is a natural event or to a terrorist event. So let's just first look at, what are we planning for? Well, we know that we have many different aspects that we could be planning for, anything from a fire to a terrorist event. And so the first thing we would do is to encourage the location to look at what is the most likely events that could happen in their area. Then we would, and what is often asked is, why do we need this plan? Why is it so important? And, just in short, we know that something's going to happen. We've lived this in the last 10, 15 years, and we have seen events happen that we never thought would occur. And so it is important to be ready, to be able to save lives. So I just want to look at the continuum of being prepared. Jennifer talked about the importance of having a plan. The plan is the utmost importance. Your plan needs to be very simple, it needs to be very readable, it needs to be current, and everyone needs to know what is in that plan. It doesn't do anyone any good if the plan has been written and it's on the shelf and no one knows what it is made up of. Organizing, having trainings to teach people what their duties and their roles and responsibilities are. Equipping your staff. Jennifer talked about the importance of communication. So redundancy is of the utmost importance. So you need to look at, what kind of equipment would you need if everything went down? It's easier to plan for the worst and then have a situation that is better than the other way around. And of course, then we would train. You would want to train your staff so they will know their roles and responsibilities when something does happen. And then, of course, you exercise. You simulate that occurrences, and then you practice what you've learned. Then as you see that error, you start right back to your plan, and you look at your plan and say, now, how can I make my plan better? And then, of course, then you go right back through that cycle again. You enhance your plan, then if you have to do some reorganization, re-equipping, retraining, and then you exercise it. So it's an ongoing continuum. You never reach the end, and that's the important part of that. Again, you would take an account of what could happen in your area. I'm from Texas, and so presently we're in the beginning of our hurricane preparedness. Our hurricane season is coming up in the summer, and as everyone knows, we've had some serious events over the last few years, and we do the retraining, the reorganization, the replanning, and enhancing those things at all times. And so we're in the process of looking at lessons learned and making improvements. And so for your area, you would look, what could happen. Could we have a tornado? Could we have a flood? What is likely? Then you would want to ask, who should be involved? The emergency management world has, as you know, taken on just a whole new role. They have become very much a part of all of the planning. We clearly see that we have to work as a unit, whether it's as an organization, as a city, or as a county, but that typically if there is an event, it's something that is large enough that everyone has to pitch in and help. So emergency management is typically your foundation. Your local government is also a very important asset because they are the decision makers. They are the ones that have to speak with the public and talk to their constituents. And public safety, law enforcement, we always need them. We have to have someone to help with security and management of control. Public health and medical, you can hardly think of an event that medical is not part of. And there's always that need, and all of these folks need to learn, need to know how to talk to each other and communicate with whatever the situation is. The plan of how it is written is very important. It needs to be very simple, very readable. It's almost like a cookbook where whoever picks it up can read it and can make the cake. If it's complex and difficult to follow, it's typically not usable because who knows who would be there at that time of the event. So it needs to be very simple and easy to read and follow, and everyone knows their role. In preparing for a plan, Jennifer talked about the redundancy. We know that in any situation that oftentimes land phones and cell phones do not work. And in our hurricane situation, we found something very similar to what occurred in Haiti. The BlackBerries, the texting is what worked the longest and the most efficiently. And so that was a good lesson learned for us because not everyone had that asset. So, we have enhanced that capability, and we encourage when people are making their plans, how do you talk to each other? Do you know who all you want to talk to? And do you have 24-hour, 7-day-a-week numbers on them? And if the main systems are down, how will you get a hold of them? And then it's always really important to look at your other populations. You have populations that the elderly, that perhaps you have community or organizational people who are blind or deaf, and they have some special means. We want to be able to include them so that they will have that information too. And then you have multiple languages, and you want not only your written format but your verbal format to be able to be targeted for them also. And of course, everything you do and have, you want to have a backup. We've learned that, in our computers are our world, and that if something happened to our location, would we have all of that backed up? It's so important to have your information in an area that is safe and you can get to it easily and efficiently. Training your employees, and the cross-training is very important. You want to make sure that people feel comfortable with what they do. And they not only know their role, but they may know their neighbor's role too. Because when you call, you may only have half of your staff come in or half of the community come in. The other half may be injured, they may be ill, and not able to assist. So it's important to have cross-training and then someone being able to do some just-in-time training right there at the incident or the event. So preparation of the plan is so very important. Time is the most important commodity. If you think about it, like we're doing now with hurricanes, you have days to prepare. And although it takes a lot of preparation for a hurricane, you do have some time. There are events such as a tornado or a terrorist attack or a flooding that there is no time to prepare. So your plan is of the utmost importance. So it is already prepared, and your staff has already been trained and organized, and communication line lists are all out there, and everyone knows how to get in touch with everyone. That's all ready. Lives will be saved with how prepared you are. And just want to follow up with what Jennifer said of how important it is to, number one, to have a plan, and for this plan to be current and to be well trained, and that again, having a plan will save time and will save lives. Having people in place, having them organized and well trained. People want to help and they want to do the very best they can, but they need to be trained to do that. And it's very important to have that done ahead of time, if at all possible. Having the right tools. You always want to have a tool chest there, whether it's your communication equipment, whether it's your it's beds, it's emergency management resources. We need a toolbox there, and we need to know where it is located and how to get to it. And so it's important to have the right tools and to have it available. And again, just repeating the importance of having communication, of having an enhanced communication system and having it in redundancy. So when Plan A is not working, you can go to Plan B, Plan B, or Plan C. If you can't communicate with each other, you'll never be able to see how big the incident is, how bad it is, or how to bring your folks in to help them. And again, a good prepared plan will save you lives, and that's what every plan's objective is for. And I'll be very anxious to hear some questions from the audience, and I'd be happy to follow up with anything. And just wanted to let you know that let's see. This is we've talked about the continuum and the importance of planning, organizing, equipping, training, and exercise, and then continuing again with that. This is some contact information for our agency, and of course, as it's been said earlier, it's on Twitter, and we are found, NERCI is found can be tweeted, and so very anxious to hear questions that you have at this time. And thank you again for having us with this webinar.
Definitely. So we do have a question here that's coming in from Mary, and she asks, do you have any recommendations for establishing a business continuity plan after the emergency has happened? So maybe something that you didn't have a plan in place initially, but after it's happened, maybe some recommendations for establishing that plan. What might be your first step? What to consider, I guess.
That's a great question. The first step I would do would be to bring in your key people and talk about lessons learned. That's a great time to look at what worked, and we want to continue using that, and what didn't work while it's still very fresh on their mind, and then look for those things that didn't work. How are we going to fix that? Not only how are we going to fix it, but who do we need to come and help us fix it? And so the sooner you do that after the incident or the event, the better you will do, because they'll be fresher on your mind. And then you'll know who I need to bring in to assist me on that. Because generally, we have to have help, and we need to bring in other resources to assist us.
So I'll actually throw out a question for either Jennifer or Karen. Is there a particular department that you suggest that this kind of action plan be held within? Is there one that you think is better for holding this responsibility than another? Does it kind of fall across an organization? Your suggestions regarding that piece, as far as maybe some of the overseers. Would it be an HR department? That kind of thing.
Well, I can speak to who I typically work with is someone out of the risk management department, or we're seeing more agencies establish an emergency management department. And so typically in human resources, risk management, any of those areas that know their people and can get a hold of them quickly are the folks to start with that.
Definitely. And I would say too also that it doesn't necessarily matter on the size of your organization, whether you're a two-man show or you're a Fortune 500 company. Having a plan like this in place should be essential to your business as a whole, because again, as examples that we see from Jennifer and Karen here, you never know when it's going to happen, and it's something that can most definitely take place. And the more prepared you are, obviously, the better it is to avoid some of the, probably most definitely financial and emotional, damage that can go along with something like that, I would say. So,
you think of it as a plan that you would have with your family.
Yeah, definitely.
In this day and time, our families are pretty scattered typically, and how would we get a hold of them? And whether your organization has 4 or 5 people, like a small family, or it has 2,000, 3,000 folks, you still want to be able to communicate with them quickly.
Definitely. I'm going to throw up this slide here quickly, and again, if you guys have questions or something comes to mind, we still have a few minutes here that we can address those. I do want to bring your attention to this piece, though. As Jennifer mentioned, that ReadyTalk and its organization were partners with Mercy Corps, and part of the purpose behind this event was to raise some additional funds for their relief efforts that are going on for a number of disasters. Obviously, Haiti may not be on the forefront of the news again right now, but like you said, the restoration process is far from over. There's also a number of different areas, obviously, that Mercy Corps helps out with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Again, ReadyTalk would love any additional support that you guys would be willing to pitch in, if you have already, to some other organization. Thank you so very much on behalf of ReadyTalk and also on behalf of Mercy Corps. This is completely up to you, but we do want to make it aware that if you visit our Facebook page, the ReadyTalk fan page, which the address is listed right there, you can visit a tab that we have on that page that is specific to the Haitian Relief Fund. And I believe also if you choose to donate there, if there is a different disaster relief fund that you'd like to donate within Mercy Corps, you can do that as well. But if you get a chance, feel free to swing by that page. refer friends to it. Obviously, again, it's up to your discretion, and if you've donated somewhere else, we thank you very much. But we do just want to make our audience aware that ReadyTalk is matching any funds that are donated to the Mercy Corps Foundation, and that will be available not just today. It's a continual piece that is up on our website.
Well, thank you. This is Jennifer. Thank you so much, Simone,
to
you and ReadyTalk for doing that. Like I said, the needs continue to be huge. The rainy season is literally around the corner, and so we really appreciate that sort of ongoing support, so thank you.
Yeah, and I actually see another question come in here really quick, and it's Valerie. Hopefully I pronounced that name right. And it says, I'm actually in Haiti, and sometimes I feel like the local partners are being left on the side. And why? Do you think there's a cause for that? And go ahead and address that, Jennifer.
That is a great question, Valerie. That's very interesting. So I can't speak sort of broadly to every organization in Haiti, but I can talk a little bit about the Mercy Corps experience. So Mercy Corps' approach to whether it's emergency aid or long-term poverty alleviation is really about putting local people in the driver's seat. I mean, if you look at our worldwide team, 95% of the people are native to the country in which they work. And in Haiti, in the early days of the response, our team was pretty expat heavy because we needed to bring in people who had that in-depth emergency response experience that they'd gotten from the tsunami and Hurricane Katrina and all of these other extraordinary events. And so, I will say in the early days of the recovery, we were more expat heavy, and I'm sure that was probably true for many organizations, just needing to bring in some external expertise. But we have quickly shifted to hiring local Haitians and really putting them in the driver's seat. So although we have 3,000 people employed in our Cash for Work programs, but in our sort of day-to-day operations in Haiti, we're up to 85 staff, 65 of which are local. Now, as far as local organizations, I mean, they are absolutely critical, have been critical to helping people in Haiti for a long, long time, as I know you're well aware, and are absolutely the key to rebuilding Haiti. I mean, I think we're all looking at Haiti, and everybody is saying, wow, can we really build back better in this, in what was already a very sort of poor and troubled country. And when I think about that process, I think the local organizations are absolutely critical. And I think as we continue to shift away from that sort of phase one emergency, where again, local, sort of outside expertise was probably a little more critical, you're really going to see resources, I think, shift more to the local organizations because that is really local communities, local organizations are the key to Haiti's recovery for the long term. So Valerie, again, it definitely hasn't been the Mercy Corps experience that locals have been left on the side. I'd say absolutely the opposite. But I do believe long term, bigger picture, we're going to see resources, hopefully, I think essentially shift to those local organizations. So that's a great question.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. I've also put up this slide again in case something comes to mind after the presentation is over today. We'll still follow the conversation on Twitter, and there is a hashtag specific to this event. And you're very welcome, Valerie. Thanks again for contributing to the conversation. And also there's a list of the Twitter handles for everyone. So Mercy Corps, NERCY's, ReadyTalk, the web seminar series, and our company as well. If you guys have any questions, again, specific to Karen or Jennifer, type those into the chat feature. We can address those, again, directly offline as well. We have the contact information from the registration page so we can reach out to you. Also, if you have any questions specific to ReadyTalk or even how a platform such as this can work in your disaster preparedness plan, we'd love to reach out to you from the ReadyTalk side too. And obviously, not making this any sort of sales pitch, but as Jennifer mentioned, that they use ReadyTalk and we are a partner of theirs regarding how web conferencing, how this conferencing resource played into their disaster preparedness plan, and being able to gather remote members from your organization. If you have a company that spans the United States or it spans internationally, how are you keeping in contact with those remote locations. Is it a weekly, is it a monthly meeting? And if you have questions on how this would fit into your organization, we'd be more than happy to give you some other suggestions or solutions. So if that is something that's on your mind, you can type yes into the chat feature, and we will definitely be sure to follow up with you on that piece as well. So on that note, I will wrap up today's event. And again, I just want to say thank you so much to both Jennifer and Karen for joining us on today's call. This is a very important topic, and I think a lot of times it kind of just gets tossed off to the side, or hopefully somebody else in the organization is handling it, but then when that doesn't happen, what do you do? So this presentation, both the recording and the slide deck, is going to be sent out to everybody that did register today. So you'll be able to review the session. It's also posted along with all the other webinars that we've done in this ReadyTalk Web Seminar Series on our archive page on our website, which is simply www.readytalk.com/web-seminar-series, and that information is up on this slide here as well. So Karen or Jennifer, any closing remarks before I wrap up today's call?
Just from me, just again, thanks, Simone, to you and to ReadyTalk for hosting this. Thanks so much for your generous match. That's a great opportunity to double your impact in Haiti, and just really thanks to all the people like Valerie on the ground in Haiti right now. They're really the heroes of this, and we just wish them all the best and need to give them our full support.
I just want also thank you for Jennifer and Simone both for this opportunity, and we are always available for any assistance needed in planning, and just appreciate all the work that y'all are doing. Thank you very much.